Okay, we are now to item number 12, which is a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Works to supplement current vegetation management practices through the implementation of a program enhancement plan.
Of the 315 miles or so, how many? Do you know how many of the miles are in the the no spray area currently? Roughly, is it half? Roughly,
It's roughly half. Roughly half.
Okay, John?
Supervisor Pine and I were both on that Environmental Quality Committee and had a number of meetings about this. And that Bayevsky report was commissioned at our request. One of the things that was in the report is talking about the testing of water and soil. 'Cause I've received lots of letters from people on the coast side talking about water quality because so many people live on. Well, first of all, they get their water supply from either wells or, in some cases, out of the creek, and so they're really concerned about the potential of these herbicides getting into both the soil and the water. Have we done any of that testing of soil and water yet?
No, Supervisor Horsley, we've not done that yet, but we are recommending that as part of our recommendations.
Okay.
Any other comments before we go on the speaker cards? Okay. We'll start with, it'll be 2 minutes each, starting with David Strom, followed by Sean Sears, followed by Patty Mayall.
Thank you, folks. There's a wide disparity of opinion on the safety of spreading toxic materials along our roadways. The rote response is that these have been given the imprimatur of the EPA. Given the money and corrupting influences of Monsanto and the chemical companies, I don't believe that imprimatur is worth what we once thought it was. And I think at the end of the day, each of you has to ask yourself, would you stake the safety of your grandchildren on this imprimatur, on that the chemicals are safe? Because I don't think safety is something that one can compromise for economy. No matter how times are bad, I don't think you can compromise on that if there is the possibility that, and a lot of people say there is, that these pesticides are dangerous, and you can't compromise them for ease of on a department. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Sean Sears, followed by Patty Mayall, followed by Kathy Gill.
Good morning, and thank you for your time this morning. My name is Sean Sears, and I live in San Gregorio, and I've been living on the coast side for 10 years. And I live there with my wife, and we are hoping to create a family in the near future to add to your constituency. And I also work with students there and have been educating them in outdoor education on the coast side. And last week, and by the way, I come in support of ending broadcast spraying of herbicides along the roads. And last week I was standing by the San Gregorio Creek with a group of students and saw two steelheads in excess of 12 inches swimming up the creek. And it was a beautiful thing. And the students oohed and awed and got goosebumps. And it was great, and not something I'd actually witnessed in my 10 years working with kids on the coast side and in our creeks. And certainly they had never witnessed it. And it was wonderful. And I talked to some neighbors who live next door who've been living on the creek for 34 years, and they tell me that it was a much more common occurrence in the past. And so something that I hope that we can see once again. And I believe that there's a direct relationship between spraying and healthy wildlife and ecosystem on the coast side. And whether or not we can all agree on that, I believe we can at least agree that there is a risk in spraying in these chemicals and poisons, and that spraying them is not helping the ecosystem. And I teach the kids and know that all things in nature are delicately connected and that there is a food chain. And the toxins move up the food chain and are concentrated at the top of the food chain. Larger animals, predators, us. So bugs eat plants, the plants are sprayed with the chemicals, the fish eat the bugs, and we eat the fish. And on a rainy day like today, as I drove here, it's easy to see that the water sheeting off the roads. I'm running out of time. I think you get my drift, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Patty Mayall, followed by Kathy Gill, followed by Ruth. Sorry, now I need my glasses.
If I may let one Dr. Height speak before me, he has to go to work. Can he speak before me? Gary Height.
We can. Go ahead. I'll find the card.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. At issue here really is in some ways a financial argument. If you look at the herbicides that you're proposing to use, that most of the safety analysis is based on the manufacturer safety data sheets. Those are generally done under optimal conditions. So the degradation, for instance, of the various agents proposed are probably not realistically reflected. That has an economic impact because I think as the supervisors are going to realize probably 5-10 years down the road, you may have some class action lawsuits descending upon you based on the fact of the persistence of these compounds. The MSDSs do not accurately reflect their actual real-world performance. And as is echoed by other testimony here, people have said, well, what about the quality of water, the persistence in the soil? At this point, broadcast spraying induces a large amount. I understand the rationale for needing to do that. However, I think that you should perhaps consider limiting that to spray spot spraying. It's needed, obviously, for the reasons of the 3 imprimaturs of the county to maintain the roads. However, without that data, you don't actually know what the persistence of these compounds will be. Furthermore, on the coastal side, you're not spraying. However, on this side, you are, where the watershed dumps into the bay. You may run afoul of the various federal and other agencies that do regulate the bay water quality. And my concern here is to address that the persistence of these compounds and their toxicology is not well understood. I would urge the Commission to consider that both long-term and short-term, the application. There are other, perhaps organic compounds that the Befsky report did not address, and they stated that they have unknown biological persistence, and I think that should be investigated before we pursue these other compounds that there are anecdotal and other reports. For instance, Monsanto changed their MSDS based on a lawsuit in England from persistence of milestone way beyond the 90-day degradation period. It's actually been shown to persist for 3 years in soil. Something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Patty Mayall, followed by Kathy Gill, followed by Ruth Waldhauer.
Okay. I'm sorry, but his wife needs to speak also quickly, and I didn't know. So that's Jennifer Height. If I can, they have to leave, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to say that I'm a resident on Skyline Boulevard. We have about 23 acres that leads into the Mendigo Creek, and so 10 of those acres I'm trying to turn into as much native vegetation as possible. It's a lot of work. It would be a lot easier to use herbicides and pesticides, but I don't. And I don't because it's the right thing to do. I understand the county's got a job to do, but I work really hard to protect our watershed, and I just wanted to say that it's difficult to work that hard and then to go and see the sprayer along the road up there on Skyline Boulevard. Mowing is great, but then I see the spray afterwards and the dead vegetation. And gosh, I think we can just slow down driving instead of having to have a bigger, wider line of sight. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Let's try this again. Patty Mayall, followed by Kathy Gill, followed by Ruth Waldhauer.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the supervisors and the Department of Public Works for all the work that's been put into this. I really appreciate it and the time. And I had one member of the community, she had to leave to go to work, but Annalise Ogren wanted to speak, so she just wanted me to say that she's sorry she had to leave. And today I am submitting petition signatures. I only have one copy because it's a lot of pages, and these are the 586 signatures that people signed back from 2006 to 2007 requesting that the broadcast spraying end along the roadsides. And these are roughly about 216 online petitions that we can still continue to collect at change.org. Just say Mo. The petition is at, and we're continuing to collect those signatures, and I'd like to submit those. We printed out. They have many responses from the community on what people think. And I would like to ask, I greatly appreciate that there is a resolution to be voted on today. We've waited for this since 2006, so I appreciate that. And what I'd like to ask is that language be added to that. What people are concerned most with is the broadcast spraying. That is the widespread spraying. That's what's done in the ditches. That's what people are most, it kills everything, not just the invasives, but your natives. We've also seen a lot of the invasive plants become very resistant to this spraying. So then you have to use more chemicals or you have to change the chemicals. And why we have asked since 2006 why the Department of Public Works is not in compliance with their own watershed protection maintenance standards. That's state, and the Bayevsky report pointed this out. It states, quote, herbicides shall not be broadcast sprayed, but shall be selectively sprayed at the plants targeted for removal, unquote. Please add that to the resolution today. That's what the people have asked for. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Kathy Gill, followed by Ruth Waldauer, followed by Lenny Roberts.
Hello. Thank you for having us here. I'm going to be a little less technical, and I'm just going to read something that I wrote after a little incident. March 13th, 2004, up on Pescadero Road in La Honda. With Luna on leash, we begin our morning walk. I take in a deep breath, expecting the smell of fresh forest scent. Instead, my nose is assaulted by the foul scent of poison sprayed along the roadsides. My eyes begin to burn, and I can taste the stuff on my tongue. Rainwater flows down the roadside ditches. Luna wants a drink, but I pull her away. I see little blue butterflies dying along the roadside in the poison weeds, and it makes me wonder, what else is being poisoned by these so-called harmless sprays? No more broadcast spraying, just say mo. Thank you.
Thank you. Ruth Waldauer, followed by Lenny Roberts, followed by Nancy Arbuckle.
I'm a member of the South Skyline Association. We now have about 1,500 members living up along Skyline from Skylonda to the southern end of Skyline at Bear Creek. And we're associated with the South Skyline Fire Safe Council. Together, we've been hiring the Ben Lobman crew from that minimum security prison to clear the roads along Skyline in Santa Cruz County and Santa Clara County, but we don't go into San Mateo County, and it's been very successful. I've seen places where the herbicides have been sprayed on roads in San Mateo County, and there's dead standing brush, a big fire hazard. I don't think herbicides are the way to go. Mowing and removal of the vegetation is the best way. Thank you.
Thank you. Lenny Roberts, followed by Nancy Arbuckle, and I believe they indicate Annalise Agren is not here. Argen.
She had to go.
She left, okay.
Good morning. I'm Lenny Roberts. I'm speaking for Committee for Green Foothills. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. We were founded in 1962 by Wallace Stegner and other visionary leaders. In 1962, Rachel Carson wrote Silent Spring. It's the 50th anniversary of that transformational book. We know now that many of the things that we assumed at the time in 1962 are harmful, and we don't use them anymore. We also know that we don't know a lot about what we are using. And I think that you need to exhibit the same leadership that you've done in many other initiatives and establish a policy now that you will mow only except for limited areas where you need to spot spray. You can do mulching, you can do seeding with appropriate grasses along the roads that would hopefully eventually replace actually they're becoming very, very pesticide-resistant invasive weeds. We do have we have policies in our watershed protection program that ask us to have grassy ditches. If we're going to asphalt the ditches, that's contrary to that, and that's one of the recommendations that Public Works has made. And I'm sure it's not widespread, but we have to look at what we're doing as a system. And so I would like to. There are other counties, several other counties have already implemented this, and they're not as wealthy as our county. We have Marin, Sonoma, Mendocino, Del Norte, Humboldt, and Trinity counties all have mowing programs instead of spraying programs. So I would like to urge you to establish a policy now that you will be mowing only, except for these exceptions that are necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last speaker, Nancy Arbuckle.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Appreciate it. And I'm a member of Sequoia Audubon Society and a concerned resident of the Bayside of San Mateo County. I urge you to end the practice of broadcast herbicide spraying on all county roadsides and rights of way, and adopt a policy that ensures sustainable land management to protect the environment and residents of the county. Herbicides are intentionally toxic substances. The vast majority are toxic to organisms beyond the targeted species. Whenever we use these chemicals, we must recognize that we are potentially exposing birds, other wildlife, our pets, our children, and other people to risk. Effective, feasible alternatives make the risks presented by herbicide use entirely unnecessary. Please put an end to toxic roadside spraying. Thank you so much.
Thank you.